Can you hear me?
You there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. I tried to have my headphones on, but it seems like the headphones are giving me some trouble, so I'll just speak to my phone.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. That's good. How you doing?
Good, buddy. Yourself?
Yeah, all good. 10 o'clock in the morning here. The sun is shining.
Oh, beautiful. It's pitch black here.
Yeah, oh, yes. Was it 7 there, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Great. Yeah, it's a nice early one for me this week. I like it.
You'll be able to enjoy a whole weekend, mate. Beautiful.
Exactly. All good. So what we'll do is we'll wait till it's 10 o'clock now, but what we'll do is we'll run through the questions from TPM. We'll mix in a couple of the community questions.
Yep.
And then if anybody's up early enough and listening live, we'll ask if anybody wants to ask any questions live.
Sounds good, buddy.
I think all the Americans are still in bed at the moment, apart from Jess, obviously. Jess is joining. Okay, let's kick off.
Yeah,
So you've been a constant in the VP community for a while, both on Facebook and on Twitter. When did you first get into VP and how did it come about?
Funnily enough, I got into VP from playing a game that doesn't even have a photo mode. It all started back playing Red Dead Online with a bunch of mates. You know, we'd take posse photos of each other and all that sort of fun stuff. And I just stumbled across the Red Dead Photography Society on Facebook. And yeah, that was all about Red Dead stuff. And everyone on the what do they call it? They Free Roam Friday. They had a segment on, and people would share, you know, what they're doing for the weekend and, you know, what they had for lunch. But some people were sharing, you know, photos from other games, and I started to get involved in that. And I think it was probably 2 months after getting really involved in it and doing it every single Friday. I just said to Daryl one day, I said, Dad, we've got to start our own group. He's like, yeah, do it, dude, do it. And from there, Virtual Photography Society was started, and yeah, the rest is history. Been basically obsessed ever since.
And how long ago was that?
I'd have to say 3 years.
3 years, long time.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure we had the second year anniversary of VPS while I was still there, and it feels like it's been a long time since I've been on Facebook. So yeah, it'd have to be 3 years plus.
Yeah, wow, that is a long time, isn't it? That is a long time. Because I didn't know, because I was very late to the game with Red Dead.
Yeah.
And obviously the main story mode's got a photo mode. It is strange they didn't put a photo mode in the online game. So how do you take the photos in the online game then? You just...
Yeah, just turn all the HUD off and go into first person and just do what you can. And a lot of the time, you'd still have to clip out some stuff, some HUD, and like if you're going in and out of the showdown matches and stuff, you'd sort of have to cut it to a box and cut some stuff out and try and use your healing tools on your editing apps to get rid of some stuff. So it was a lot more work than it should have been. But yeah, that's where it all started for me.
Old school VP.
Yeah. No photo mode, no problem.
We all went back to that for Elden Ring, didn't we?
We did, yes. We definitely
hugging walls.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. And so you've been doing it for 3 years.
Yep.
So the next question kind of ties in from a question from Koala TV on Twitter as well. So
yep.
What's your favourite game of all time? And what's your favourite game to capture? And how this ties in with Koala's questions, he's asked you what your top 3 games with photo modes are. So let's go with our bit first. What's your favourite game of all time? And what's your favourite game to capture?
Favourite game of all time, The Last of Us Part 2. When I saw this, I sort of had to think of, you know, a few games, like what would be my top 5 sort of thing. And The Last of Us Part 2 was the one that just stuck at number 1. That was the only one that didn't move up or down on my list. So yeah, I'd have to say that for definite number 1 of all time. Favourite to capture is hard. Anything that with shadows, as you know, I like my shadow portraits and stuff like that. So you'd probably have to say Zero Dawn is where I started with that sort of VP, and obviously Forbidden West has got the same sort of thing. Anything that you can use lights with as well, you know, Spider-Man, and then the new Last of Us Part 1. Anything that you can, you know, even create your own shadows is even better. But to pick one, I'd probably have to say Zero Dawn.
Zero Dawn's your top one. Yeah, I mean Zero Dawn is.
Yeah.
I remember in the Facebook group, everybody put on there where you can go the shadow room.
Yeah, the shadow hut. Yeah.
And
I
I
think
think people,
that holds sentimental value. Like I said, that's where that sort of style started for me. So that's where I'd call that one.
so, I mean, I've never finished Last of Us Part 2. I know that's probably sacrilege to many people on the internet. Um, I'm really late to it. I think done The Last of Us Part 1 a couple of months ago, and I've got The Last of Us Part 2, but then so many decent games have come along. It's kind
Yeah,
of got a
it's
little
like,
bit of the back burner. But what I have played is really
yeah,
good. I think I'm
yeah.
up to where.
It's such a. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, you carry on, mate.
Yeah, it's just a really an emotional game, and I think the thing that I like the most about it is the performances from the voice actors. Like Troy Baker's crazy, Ashley's crazy. It's like they you feel what they're saying. You're not just watching something on TV. You know what I mean? Like you can actually feel the emotion and everything in their voice. It's something that sticks with me. Like I think I've played part two probably 6 or 7 times through, and like you say, you haven't got to the end, but that end part, it still kicks me in the guts every single time. And so now you're gonna have to go and play it to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think that I've had the most shocking part at the beginning, which I was like, how can you do that? No, not going to give any more spoilers in case people haven't played it. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think
I think the ending is sort of the ending hit me more, to be honest.
yeah, I'm gonna have to finish it now, aren't I? I'm gonna have to find time
Absolutely.
to finish it, put everything aside. But I
Yep.
think now that the generation improvements in gaming, with especially with motion capture and the whereas it always used to be, they'd make a character model, then put the voice to it, to actually have
Yeah.
the actors mocapping everything where you can capture their emotion, capture their feeling. It does really hit home a lot more. A
Oh,
lot more.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. I'll finish that then. I'll finish that. I'll put that on my list to
Beautiful.
do. Okay, so we've touched a little bit on VPS on Facebook. So I think we've probably known each other socially for a couple of years, although we only
Yep.
actually physically spoke once before this. Um,
Yeah.
so you've worked on numerous community groups and pages. I first met you in Virtual Photography Society on Facebook.
Yep.
We worked together briefly on World of VP, and
Yep.
now you're working with the VGP network team. What about
Yep.
working for these community groups and community pages appeals to you, and why do you do it?
I think I just like to be involved as much as possible with the community. I've got just as much interest in what other people are doing, what they're capturing, what they're playing, and how they capture what they capture, as much as I do myself. Like I said, I just like to be involved, and the more you're involved, the more you see, the more you can learn, sort of thing. And I think it's only natural, to pay it forward. The things that you learn, you should, teach the new pitch, teach the new VPs and things like that. Like we never stop learning. Like there's people that have been doing this, since photo modes were a thing, and even they're still learning. So I think that it's like a nurturing sort of thing. I don't know. Like I don't have kids, so I don't have anyone to nurture but my dogs. But maybe that's a part of it too. There's something I've just thought of now. Maybe I just like to nurture the young ones and bring them up and just show them that this community is amazing, and you'll get to where you want to be if you put the work in, and if you engage with the right people as well.
That's the thing is that that's a really good trait to have, and I can speak personally from like when we've talked and tips and bits about virtual photography. Is
Yeah.
it's so important for people to embrace other people, help them, because we are all in that position once. We
Yeah.
all know what it
Exactly.
feels like when you first come on the scene and you're like, how am I ever going to take that picture and that kind of thing. To
Yeah.
have, I think that's what is really special in the community. Like people like you, where you want to get involved, you want to help, and I think that's where people will get further and get more out of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like you say, like everyone when they first come to Twitter, they had 0 followers. And they come in and they'll see someone with 10, 12, 15,000 followers and see that their work's being shared by PlayStation. They might get a little bit intimidated by it, but you just got to tell them, that everybody started where you are now, and everyone can get to where that person is over there, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think we touched on this with Ruben last week. Is if you're willing to put the work in and you want to get something out of it, you can do whatever you want. And it's not always necessarily about how many followers. You think of all these people with followers, and even myself, personal experience. You still might not get shared by developers or PlayStation things like
Yeah.
that. I suppose
Yeah.
the important thing is the love of it, isn't it? Is I think we all do it for the love of it. It's
Yeah.
just the
Exactly.
curse of the socials.
Yeah. Socials they're always different, and Like people will always get caught up on likes and stuff. You see it all the time, but it's hard not to. Like I check my likes all the time, but I think the best thing I ever did was turn notifications off for likes and retweets. So I don't get them notifications anymore. So I'm not really looking at it as much.
Definitely, definitely. Same. I've only got comment notifications on, so somebody actually comments. Everything else turned off.
Yep.
Otherwise, you
Yep.
focus
Same.
on it
Yep.
too much.
Exactly.
You lose that little bit of love, don't you? There's
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing worse than that. So you said that you were playing Red Dead Online, and you said to Darren you should set up a group. So did you? Was it literally you just his Facebook? Let's set up a group. How did you kind of grow that? Because obviously, I think when I was in there, there's quite a lot of people joined the group. It was always quite interactive. Was it just
I'm not. Like, we didn't really advertise anywhere outside of the Red Dead group, so it just grew naturally. I think it must have just been a lot of word of mouth. Because as with the Red Dead group, we just wanted to create a safe environment for people where they felt comfortable, being themselves and sharing anything, and they would know that no matter what they said or shared, that no one was going to come down on them. It was always a welcoming, and to the point where just before I left, it was like a family, and people were comfortable enough to just come out and just tell anybody anything. And it even got to the point where I would spend, 2 or 3 hours a day, every few days in my DMs, just discussing things with people because they felt safe talking about very serious and personal things. And that was exactly what we wanted to do. We wanted to have that sort of environment where people could just be themselves and not worry about what anybody else was going to do or say.
yeah? And that's the perfect way to be. And I think that's as much as people can is feel like that about any form of social platform. Is there always going
Yeah.
to be the pitfalls, but if you engage with the right people, you build those relationships. It is a safe space. You can speak to people because there's a lot of stuff going on. We see a lot of it within the VP community about mental health. People who, you know, um, whether they get burnt out or they got a lot going on in real life. There's a lot of it going around, and I suppose
Yeah.
what I would say to especially those people is, we are a community. We're here to share
Yeah.
our pictures. We're here to like each other's pictures, comment on the art, but we're also here for each other. You know,
Yeah.
I could personally say my DMs are open if
Yeah.
anybody needs to talk about stuff. And I think that's part of the bit which I'd like to take further personally is, we're a community. Let's help people. If we can help people, let's help people. Let's
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I was just going to say before you said it yourself, Dave. That if you might not have spoken to me at all before, you might have just liked a picture, or might have liked one of your pictures. If you've got anything that you want to talk about, anything you want to get off your chest, hit me up, hit the DMs up. I might not have the right answer for you, but I'll be an ear for you. I'll listen to you.
exactly. And I think everybody, personally that I know and a lot of other people that I probably don't know are quite receptive. They're not going to just shut you down. They'll have a chat. Like you said, they might not have any of the right answers, but just someone to talk to. I
Yeah,
think
exactly. Exactly.
I've laid some heavy stuff on some people, and it's actually, it's really good to not get a stranger's input, but somebody who is outside of whatever you're going on with to get their feedback.
Absolutely.
It can help. It can help. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, definitely.
let's get that spreading throughout the community as well. Let's make it really open and safe, um, and able to share things with people privately if you need to. So
Absolutely. I totally agree. We should work on something together, mate. Get some initiative out there.
let's do it. You know me,
100%.
I love a project.
Me
Let's do
too.
it.
Yeah,
Let's
absolutely.
let's get it together. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to switch it to a more light-hearted question now. So this has become a little new favourite of mine for our interviews. Random question, not to do with the VP. What's your favourite food, mate? What do you like eating? I'm a right foodie, so I'd love to know what people really like to eat. What's your go-to? What's your favourite?
Favorite, without question, would be Mexican food.
Oh yes,
Absolutely love Mexican food. A, it's a burrito as big as you can handle with pork, black beans, rice, guac, salsa, cheese. Give me one of them. Oh, absolutely love Mexican food.
see that surprises me. Not a stereotype. I thought you would have said Barbie.
I do love a steak. I do absolutely love a steak, but yeah, Mexican food's my go-to. There's a place in Sydney by the harbour that sort of mixes Australian with Mexican. They do a spicy kangaroo fajita, and it is outstanding.
So what is, what is your stereotypical Australian food then? Because obviously
We we
it's
we don't have any, mate. We just pinched them off you guys, I think. But outside of a jar of Vegemite or maybe a tin of Milo, I don't think we have any Australian foods. Like we say Lamingtons are Australian, Anzac biscuits, and pie with sauce. But I think we've pinched them off everyone.
it's the best way to be. Let's just pinch all the good bits from elsewhere, and we'll
Yeah,
just
like we
use all
we
that.
do that with everything. Like we try and say Nicole Kidman's Australian and Russell Crowe are Australian, but they weren't born here. They were born overseas.
Well, they see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think Russell Crowe was born in New Zealand, I think, and Nicole Kidman was born in Hawaii or something. I might have them back to front, but yeah, they weren't born here.
Oh,
But they're
okay, right.
Australian. Everyone says they're Australian, though.
they're token Australians, token Australians. So you said kangaroo steak fajitas. It's
Yeah,
kangaroo just like normal steak.
it's kangaroo. It's with the fajitas. Things that, like you get your dish with your little bread and then salsa, cheese, lettuce, and all that sort of stuff, and you make it yourself. And it's usually finely stripped, just like a stir fry sort of size strip. But it's really nice in a spicy fajita. By itself, kangaroo is terrible. It has to be seasoned or marinated in something.
Yeah.
Um, but it's brilliant for you. It's probably the leanest red meat that you can find.
Oh, see, I think the only thing I ever see of food in Australia is when there's a program over here called "I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here," which they do in
Right. Yeah.
Australia, and all they make them do is eat things like kangaroo anuses and woody grubs and all horrible stuff like that. So no nice
Yeah.
Australian food. It's all really
Yeah. I
horrible
haven't.
stuff.
I haven't gone as far as the anus. I just eat the steak. I tried. I remember trying crocodile and emu at school 20 plus years ago. James, I'm getting older, mate. But yeah, I've never gone anything as far as the witchetty grubs or any sort of thing. I haven't been able to bring myself to eat grubs and insects and stuff.
Why would you though? Let's be honest. Unless you are in a reality TV program, why would you actually eat a witchy grub?
Yeah, it'd have to be life or death, or like you say, on TV for you know a big pay packet or something. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I can't do it.
Me and my wife were joking the other night because we were watching this I'm a Celebrity and they were eating some really random food. And she said, "Tell you what, I'd go and do that for £1,000,000." I said, "I'm not being funny. If you're meant getting away from the kids, I'd do it for £1,000." So yeah, if you put the money down, let's go over there and eat some horrible food.
Yeah, there's got to
Love
be
it.
something in it for you. You just wouldn't do it for enjoyment.
Definitely not. But no, I hear you on the Mexican food. I love Mexican food. Really lovely Mexican food. Okay, back to virtual photography. So the next one um, closely ties in with a message on Twitter from our good friend Mats. Our question is, what's the most important tools to you in a photo mode? And we'll tie his one in with our next question. So when you're using a photo mode, what's your go-to tools? I know you've briefly mentioned about light and shadow. Is that sort of thing you go to, or composition first? Where do you go to first?
I generally look for a vertical shot more than anything. So 90-degree tilt is very important to my VP. Thanks, Jess. She got me hooked on verticals years ago. I never did them, and she kept doing them and doing them. And I thought, I'll try a vertical shot. Bang, that's it. 80% of my stuff's been vertical since.
Yeah.
And with that vertical tilt, a grid is really helpful. You'd be surprised how many PMs don't have a grid. And so you're tilted 90 degrees and you're trying to watch and you've got your head turned 90 degrees as well, trying to make sure it's lined up. And, more often than not, if I don't have that grid, it's not lined up.
Yeah, I feel you. I've got a little label on my TV saying the name of the TV, and if it's not got a
Oh, yeah.
grid, I've figured out that label's dead center if I
Yep.
do it on the tilt. But I've still got my neck tilted like I'm practically lying down. But yeah, no, grid is really helpful.
Yeah,
Really
and
helpful.
a shortcut. I've seen this question gets asked a lot, and I don't know if I've ever heard or seen many people say that a shortcut to the photo mode is important, because there's a few photo modes out there that it's just pause and then a box button, or something like that. But sometimes when you pause it and then you hit the box button, the frame, like 1 or 2 frames will move
Yeah,
in between the pause and when you actually open the photo mode. And as you know, anyone who does VP knows that 1 or 2 frames can make or break a photo.
exactly. And I think sometimes, as much as we are in essence pausing the game to take a photo. I think if you've got shortcuts, it doesn't interrupt the game as much. Whereas if you've got to
Yeah.
press pause, you then got to press triangle, you then got to go into it and do it. It kind
Yeah.
of takes a bit more out of it. But yeah, shortcuts definitely. I mean, I think most
Yeah.
Ubisoft games have the 2 right-click sticks, which is quite handy.
Yeah, that's
Um,
my preferred R3, L3, R3 and L3 shortcuts. That's my favorite.
yeah, and was it? I think Kenna and Death Stranding were on the D-pad. That was
Yeah,
also
Returnal.
quite easy.
Yeah, Returnal's on the D-pad as well.
See, I started Returnal last night. I've heard a lot of things going on about Returnal, and I think I told you before. I tried it once, and I
Yeah.
think it was when I just got my PS5 and I was trying to get through all of the PlayStation exclusives I hadn't got
Yeah.
around to, and I played a little bit and thought, yeah, don't think it's ready for me. So I started it
Yeah,
again last night. See
yeah,
how
I
I go
tried
with
it
it.
when it first dropped on the PS5 collection thing. I think I played it for about 10 minutes and I went, no, not doing it. And then I don't know why I just picked it up again. I think I just ran out of games to play. I said, oh, I'll try this again, and gave it some time and just absolutely fell in love with it. I can't get enough of that game. I platinumed it a little while ago and I've just started playing it again. Absolutely love that game.
Because I think who else do we speak to about Returnal? I think we spoke to Ken about Returnal as well, because apparently Ken's really good at Returnal.
He is,
Um,
yes, he is. Yeah,
I think when I started last night, there was some funny little things running around firing green balls at me, which were really annoying.
yeah.
So yeah, I think I'll have to get used to it. But I'm hooked on Jedi Survivor at the moment, so I think Returnal will the way.
See, Returnal kind of reminds me of Control in the way it plays because it's really fast paced and really chaotic, and you've got that jump and that dash and the shooting. I find it really familiar when I play Returnal.
Yeah, because the controller and gameplay layout for Control was brilliant. You know, the amount you could do and how easy it was to do it.
Yeah, that's also one of my favorite games. It's really hard as well. Like if you try to change the difficulty, it'll say, "No, hang on a minute. This game's supposed to be hard. Are you sure you want to do this?" And that's what I've done. I finished that one as well, but I'm doing another playthrough now, which is mostly just for VP. So I've got the God mode and all that sort of stuff on. So I can't die. But if you've got all that turned off and play as intended, it's quite the challenging game as well.
Yeah, so do you get a lot of time to play, or do you just have certain days or a couple of hours or something when you play, or do you like game all the time?
I game most of the time. So I don't work because had a back issue for about 5 or 6 years, so I can't work. So if I'm not cooking or cleaning at home, I'm probably sitting in front of the PlayStation.
I'm so jealous.
I'll
I'm
swap
so
you my
jealous.
spine for your spine then. We'll see how jealous you will be.
No, I'm spineless, mate. No, I'm only joking. No, yeah, I'd love to just sit in game all day. Obviously, minus the back. Um,
Yeah.
that's why I see you, and I always think, how do you get through games so quick? Literally takes me ages because I get dad game time, which is a couple of hours every other day. It
Yeah.
takes me ages to complete a game. I just see you smash through games
Yeah,
and finish it.
I've got way too many hours on some games, mate. Like I've 600 hours on Cyberpunk, 400 hours on Valhalla, and 200. I had 200 hours on Anno 1800, and I only had it for I was only playing it for like 3 weeks. I racked up like 200 hours on it.
Man, that's a lot. That is a lot. But you just mentioned ACV, Assassin's Creed there, which ties
Yeah.
nicely to a question we've had from Aaron on Twitter.
Yep.
So we know Aaron, who does some not reports. What's the word? I've forgotten the word. Articles
Articles.
for Assassin's Creed. So he
Yeah.
said, "I'm a big fan of your ACVP. Which is your favourite to capture, and how do you rate their PMs?"
Yeah, see, this was harder than I thought too. I immediately thought it was just going to be Valhalla because anyone who knows me knows that Ava was my favorite character from any game ever.
Male or
Um,
female?
Female.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's my absolute favourite. So I like taking photos of her in that game, but that in the same time, I prefer the landscapes from Odyssey and Origins.
Yeah.
So I sort of can't really pick one favourite, but gun to my head, I'd say Valhalla. And as far as the PMs go, I think they're really basic, and you hear people say, "Oh, there's not enough to them," and they're really basic, but you can still get some really good shots. Some of the best shots you see are from these games with this basic photo mode. Like they are missing some things, some like lighting would be great, and hiding the characters or hiding enemies and all that sort of stuff. Facial expressions or a pose here and there would be nice. Um, but for anyone who's starting out and not sure what sort of game to start their VP on, the last three AC games would be a great place to start. Because, like I said, it's a very basic sort of photo mode, but they're really brilliant for what they are.
It gives you just the tools you need, doesn't it? I mean, yes, we all love
It does.
ever since lighting's come into games, we've loved it, but we never used to have lighting in games, and you used to have to get into position somewhere with the lighting in the game to get that picture. So, from a basic point of view, I suppose from the tools, it's what you want to get out of it. If you just want to take some
Absolutely.
good pictures, you've got your depth of field, you've got
Yeah.
your camera. It's got a very decent camera range.
Yeah.
Filter. I mean, it's got filters. I never really use filters in the PM anyway. But yeah,
No, no, same here.
I started with a Assassin's Creed Valhalla with my
Yeah.
VP journey, so I love that photo mode. It's really easy to use, not complicated, and it's got a
Yeah.
shortcut.
Yeah, and the sliders are really good. I especially like where you can pinpoint what you want to focus on. You move the cursor to the left side of Eivor's face, for example, and then you can just adjust it from there. Whereas other ones, you've got to do aperture and all this sort of stuff, and it gets a little bit more confusing and a little bit more technical, and a little bit a little bit harder to figure out.
Yeah, because I only realised recently that you've got that autofocus ability in Horizon Forbidden West as well. I'd never noticed it on there before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I can't remember what button it is now. I'll have to have a look. But yeah, you can select if you put your
Yeah,
cursor where you want it to be and press this button, it auto focuses on that part.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, no,
Yeah,
that is
so
really handy.
yeah, see, that's what another thing that Ragnarok doesn't have. Like the last one had, you could focus on any character basically that was in the scene, but now you have to do it manually. But we won't talk about that photo mode too much.
Now, I think we probably have 3 interviews we've talked about. We've talked about Ragnarok, but again, like we're saying about Assassin's Creed, there's all things we say that the FOMO should have had or any advances, but it's still got that basic functioning photo
Yeah,
mode. And at the end of the day,
yeah,
if any game which has got any form of photo mode for us VPs is brilliant.
yeah, that's a win. If it's got a photo mode, doesn't matter if it's got no options. The photo mode's better than nothing.
Do you kind of like it though when you get a game with, let's say Elden Ring, because I know we both play Elden Ring. Do you like it sometimes though when you do get a game that doesn't have a PM that you really have to work for the pictures?
Yeah, I don't really play too many. Like I looked down at my pile of games yesterday, and every single thing that I've got on disc has got a photo mode. So it's rare that I play something that doesn't have a photo mode. One thing that I actually have been playing this week is Monster Boy in the Lost Kingdom or something it's called. I can't even remember the actual name of it. It's like one of them remakes of the old Wonder Boys from the Sega days. Do you remember those?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's one that was made last year, and it's made for PS5. It's 4K, 120 frames, and it's built exactly like they were back in the day. It's basically just jumping and swiping a sword. But man, it gets frustrating. It's challenging, but it's fun, and I'm just sitting there enjoying it, and like not worrying about photos, and just jumping and carrying on, and just really enjoying the game time.
I think that's good though sometimes, especially when you get a creative block or you don't know what game to
Yeah,
play. I find that really useful.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I'm trying to think of the game that I thought of when you were saying about that. Did you ever play Celeste?
No.
So Celeste is, I think, I can't remember where I first played Celeste. I think it was on when I was back on Xbox. Don't hate me, everybody. Um, but that again, that is just side scroller, jump, double jump, nothing major, but it is
Yeah,
hard. It's like Dark
yeah,
Souls hard, but really, really addictive and good. And it's a pixelated game. It's not high graphics, any of that. But every now and then, to play a game like that, just to step back and enjoy a game for just the game,
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
can always be a
exactly.
good thing.
Yeah, it's like I think that's a big part of why I enjoyed Anno 1800 so much too, because there was no photo mode there, and you could just enjoy the game for what it is. And like, even if I go to play a game with a photo mode and say, all right, I'm not going to take many photos, but at the end of the day, I've got 50 photos to go through. You just can't help myself.
Yeah, constantly pressing that button.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about your go-to tools in photo mode. So this is our question and the question that ties in with Max's question on Twitter. Do
Yep.
you post edit your shots? If so, what do you use to edit it? And he's again said, how much time do you spend on your post editing and how important it is to your VP?
I edit basically everything. Um, there'd be the odd Spider-Man Miles Morales sort of shot that I won't edit because that game doesn't need much editing as itself. And all I use is Photoshop Express on my phone.
Yeah,
That's probably for, I'd say, 99% of all my edits. I use Photoshop Express. For things like if I want to do a blend or if I want to add blur or something, there's Pixkit and Polish apps. But outside of that, that's where all my editing gets done. I used to use Snapseed back in the day when I first started, but I moved away from that, and yeah, everything's done on my phone on PS Express.
yeah, yeah. I think
It probably takes. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say I always found Snapseed to be when you're changing the settings a bit aggressive in how it manipulates your pictures, if that makes sense.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I do. Yeah.
So if you're adding a bit of sharpness or a bit of, pop, it was always quite aggressive. I know you had a slider to adjust it, but it was quite aggressive. Whereas in Lightroom, where I do a lot of mine now, so Lightroom mobile,
Yeah.
you can add really subtle bits and pieces.
Yeah. That's why I like Photoshop Express. It's everything's like you've got control over everything. Like you say, it might only be one tick on the slider on apps like Snapseed, but that would equate to 6 or 7 clicks on the slider on Photoshop. So
Yeah.
you've got much more control. And as far as how long it takes and that sort of stuff for my edits, I would say 30 seconds to a minute to edit any one photo. I don't do a whole lot. It's usually just a bit of dehaze and some contrast and add or take away some shadows. I don't usually do too much with color.
Yeah.
It's more just contrast and shadow work that I either add or take away.
And you say you use Pixkit or the other app for your blends, because I've seen some of your blends. I think there's one, especially one that stands out for me I think it's Cassandra from
Ah,
AP
right, yeah,
Odyssey.
yeah, with the forest in the background, yeah.
Yeah, I find those really hard, but yours always seem to turn out really, really good.
I've had this
What's your secret?
conversation. No, I just throwing as much as I can to the wall and hoping something sticks, mate. I'll tell you. I like at the end product. It's I don't know. It may look like it's easy, but sometimes I can spend 2 or 3 hours sitting on the lounge, filling with different pictures, trying to get them to blend and sit together, and moving them around up and down, and flipping them and all sorts of stuff. And I can spend 2 or 3 hours and get nothing. Or as the last one I did, I think might have been the tier one, the gold one,
Yeah.
with tear in the background. That took about 20 seconds. I just put one photo on top of the other one, hit the button, and then it worked. Whereas other times they just don't work. It's all about having the right photos, and that's probably the only time where I will plan my VP if I go into a game and actually plan what I'm going to take.
Yeah.
It's when I want to blend something and I'll know that I'll need to have an open background or space in the foreground sort of thing to get pictures to work together.
So is a lot of your main VP spontaneous when something catches your eye, that kind of thing, completely unplanned?
Yeah, like if it's a landscape, that's usually just, oh, that looks pretty, and I'll jump in, take the photo, and get out. With sort of things like with boss fights and sort of stuff like that, I tend to do a manual save file and just before a boss fight, and I'll and keep a list of what save files are what. And if I feel like trying to get some action shots, I'll go in and have a fight against Thor or something like that, and try and get some pictures there. But outside of that, yeah, everything's pretty spontaneous. I don't really plan much else.
And have you had any training, done any courses? Do you do normal photography? Is there anything that's helped you with your VP like that, or is it just natural raw talent, mate? Or is it you're just winging it?
Self-taught, mate. Actually, I used to do real life photography pretty much until I started to get really hooked on the virtual stuff. I think it's sort of one took over the other. But I did have an Instagram account well, it's still there. I just haven't used it for years. Where I was doing a lot of landscape photography, and I'd go to zoos and stuff and try and get some animal photography and that sort of stuff. And I did that for 4 or 5 years or so before I started to get really stuck into the virtual stuff.
Yeah.
I've got to get my act together and get back out. Especially where I'm at, New South Wales has got some amazing national parks, and I've got to get back out there and take some more photos.
You think you'll take any of the stuff you've learned from your VP out into in real life? So we always talk about people bringing their in real life photography skills into VP. Do you think you'll take anything that you do in your VP and take it back to the in real life?
Yeah, I think it's only natural to, even if you don't realise, you probably find yourself doing something that you wouldn't have done before, and you probably wouldn't be able to pinpoint where, but it's probably something that you've done in a game and you've just come accustomed to doing, and you go out and, at a beach or something like that, and the rocks in the foreground, you would put a blur on them and have the sharp cliff edge on the back side of it, nice and sharp with the water running down sort of thing. Yeah, like I say, it's probably just more of a natural thing than anything that you would take one from the other. Like you
Yeah,
say, it
yeah,
goes both ways.
exactly, mate. So we've probably got 2 or 3 questions left, and then we'll be going to live questions from anybody who's listening. So if anybody's listening and they're up early enough to be listening to this live, get your speaker request in, and I will come to you for your live question. So next one we've got, and this question also ties in with a question from Uko VP on Twitter.
Yep.
So is VP just a hobby for you? Are you looking to progress within the space and take it to the next level, whether that's work in the gaming industry or anything else? Or is it purely just because you love it?
Yes and yes. I do actually. Like as you know, I have loved this for a long time, but doing something more would be great. Whether it be working directly with devs or with the likes of PlayStation or something like that. Whether it be a paid thing or give us some photos and we'll give you early keys or something like that. So anything like that would be very welcome.
Yeah. And do you get any interaction with the devs or any early keys or anything at the present? 'Cause I know that's some things people ask is they never get given keys and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's kind of a lot of it's luck. Do you ever get in
It
that
is, yeah.
position?
Yeah, well, I was going to say I've probably got my foot in the door with Ubisoft ANZ, but I'll probably a little bit more than that. Being a part of the creators program, the global launch should have to be soon. They've been working on it pretty hard for the last little while, and I've got a few keys out of them. Nothing early yet, but they haven't had much in the way of new games since I've been on board. As you see on my page, I've got some keys to give away. We've got about 20 or so hours until that giveaway's ended, and I'll start another one soon after that. But hopefully when we've got some new Ubisoft games, I'll be able to get some of them early.
So with I know Ubi do a lot of creative programs or Star Player or whatever they call it. How would you go about getting involved in those? Because I know there's a lot of people take Assassin's Creed shots and may want to take it further. Do you just ask? Do they ask you, or do you have to apply?
Initially, the first thing that happened with Ubisoft ANZ was they just started to like my photos, and then they followed me. I wasn't even sure that there was I didn't know there was the ANZ branch in Australia. I just thought it was Ubisoft, and you had the devs like Montreal and Quebec and that. But it wasn't until they started to like and then follow me that I knew that they were there. And a few weeks after that, I got a message from them saying, "Look, we love what you do, and we've enjoyed sharing your work. Would you like Far Cry 6 keys with the new DLC that's coming out?" And obviously, yes, absolutely. And from there, it was there was a bit of conversation going backwards and forwards, and then I found out about the creators program, applied for that. I think our buddy there, Koala, was the one that told me to check that out. And then not expecting to get in because it's mostly a streamer's video content sort of program, but I was lucky enough to get accepted in, and I've been in there talking to them sort of people for the last few months.
So what does it entail then, being part of the creators program? Do you get invited to things? Is there benefits? Or what's the benefit of being in a creator program?
Yeah, you get early access to some things, and you get to test some things for them, and give feedback and all that sort of stuff before things get released.
Oh, that's good then.
Hmm.
I might have to have a little look into that. I need to
Yeah,
start playing these
absolutely,
top
mate,
games again first.
yeah, well, that's I am always playing something from Ubisoft. I'm never not playing an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, Mirage is out. Is it October? Mirage is out, I think.
Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
yeah,
Looking forward to that.
definitely.
Going back to the roots. Going back to the
Yeah,
roots
absolutely,
of
absolutely.
City. So that obviously ties in with the next question as well. So what upcoming games this year are you looking forward to playing or capturing? What's your top games you're looking forward to this year?
I'm not even sure if it's coming out this year, but it's Phantom Liberty, the expansion for Cyberpunk. That'll be my number one. We get some info in June. I think they're doing a showcase or
Yeah,
a reveal for it. I absolutely can't wait for that. I want to see what they can do. When it's just PS5 sort of game. Outside of that, you've got your obvious. You've got Mirage and Spider-Man 2. They've said it's definitely coming this year, so very very amped for those as well. But number one on the list will be Phantom Liberty.
yeah, because isn't that got Idris Elba in it? That one, I think I saw Idris Elba in it.
Yes, yes, it
Yes,
does.
yeah, no, Cyberpunk, brilliant game, absolutely brilliant game. And
Yeah,
the good thing I think about that I like about Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red is that how many people, and especially there's a couple of people that I know, would literally spam them every day to say, please add a 90-degree tilt in it, please add a 90-degree tilt. And then with the big update, they added the 90-degree tilt, and everyone's like, yes, finally.
that was like Christmas and Easter and birthdays all in one day. That was amazing.
It is. And I think, there's a few games that come out where they don't have the 90-degree tilt. And yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's it's a simple thing. I'm like you, I take a majority of portrait shots until very recently, where for some reason with Jedi Survivor, I've started doing landscape sets. Don't know what's wrong with me.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy. But yeah,
yeah.
90-degree tilt is definitely a must in those games.
Yeah, like I said, I'm always playing an Assassin's Creed game. I've just rebooted Origins again and jumped into photo mode, and it went to probably, I don't know, 45, 50, 60 degrees. I'm like, why go that far but not a little bit further? You're killing
Yeah.
me.
And I think I always used to find a little bug with that photo mode in Origins is where where you turn um, turn
Yep,
the grid off and
yep,
preview it. I'd do
yep,
that, but it wouldn't get rid of it. So you
yep.
line
Yeah, you've got to start the game again. I've been doing that. Yeah, it doesn't happen all the time, but probably 4 or 5 times in the last week where you try to take a photo and the HUD just won't go away. So you've got to save your game and start again, turn it off, start again.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but hey, small sacrifice to pay. But yeah, Origins
Yeah,
really good. It'd be interesting to see. Well, you mentioned Spider-Man 2. Obviously, everybody's excited for Spider-Man 2. It's probably one
yeah,
of the photo modes that everybody holds as if there was such a thing as a gold standard. A gold standard. It'd be interesting to see if there's any advances in the photo mode, or if they pull a Ragnarok and just transfer over. I'm expecting big things.
yeah. I try not to expect big things, but I'm hoping that it's at least as good.
Maybe their community manager, Aaron, if you're listening this, mate, or if you listen back to it, let us know. We're excited.
Yeah,
Make
let
sure
us
we get
know.
a good photo mode.
Yeah, help us, help you, help us, mate. We'll get it sorted.
Definitely, definitely. Uh, and then the last one, which is always an oldie but a goldie, and we've probably talked about a few hints and tips, is whether it's a new VP or a VP's been going a while. What advice would you have for them, and especially people considering taking shots for the first time? Your most important bit of advice to them.
I think my most important bit of advice is not so much about the VP itself; it's about the community. My first tip would be just to engage with people. talk to fellow VPs and devs and community managers and community page admins, build relationships. Because to me, that's the most fun part of the whole thing. Well, obviously, we like taking photos and seeing each other's work, but talking to you like this, and there's people in the chat there, and talking to people about what we love is just as much, or if not more, fun for me than actually what we do. So just like I said before, and you've said yourself, just reach out and talk to somebody. Like there's community pages out there and devs and stuff that they won't ignore you. They'll talk to you. Like no one's too big for anyone else. Everybody's really accommodating and really friendly. So just get involved and talk to people. That's my number one tip.
Exactly. My dream one day is to have a global VP meetup. Just have
Yes.
somewhere where we all get together, and we might just get drunk, but
That's perfect.
it's I kind of envision it like what Sarah said about the Red Bull capture point. It's like we're all just there, like having a chat, taking pictures, having a drink
Perfect.
in person rather than just in comments. So I think that's why I personally like this format that we're trying here. Is it's good to talk to you, man. We talk on the chats, we WhatsApp and bits and pieces. So it's just good to talk to people. And I echo exactly what you said there. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're all here. We're all here.
Yeah, in regards to the VP itself, I don't know if yourself or if anyone else sort of fell into this sort of trap, but I did myself, and I was just trying to do too much. Like every theme, every hashtag, I was thinking I have to post something for this, I have to post something for that. I need to be seen by this person, I need to be seen by that person. And it got to the point where I had a list of hashtags and themes for every single day of the week. All right, and if I didn't have a picture for that theme, I'd have to get on and play the game to take a picture so I could post that for that day. And it just got to the point where I was burning myself out, and it felt like work. Like it's not, but it should be fun. You know what I mean? And it just felt like it was a chore, and I almost started to not enjoy what I was doing.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really easy, I don't want to say pitfall to fall into, but I think when you are, new on the scene and you want to be seen, you want to get in on all these things. And, all of these hashtags and themes that the community pages run, none of them are bad at all. It's a really good thing. It helps, especially new VPs,
absolutely
get their name out there, get their view out there. But I do think that from the personal level of the VP, you can't do everything. Like you said there, you burn yourself out. And you look at most people nowadays, most people don't use hashtags, or they've dropped a lot of hashtags because it looks cleaner. Tag wise, some community pages have come and gone. You've got the staples which are still there, and I tag them occasionally, but I don't even tag them all the time in my shots. I think that's probably, from what I'm trying to achieve from some of it by tagging devs and bits and pieces. But I think you can't, like you said, you can't be a part of everything. You can't be everywhere. Yes, you've got to be consistent, like Ruben said, if you want to get noticed or take it further. But there's a difference between consistency and, like you said, burning yourself out. It's you don't have to do that. It's all for the love of it. If you love your pictures and you get your shots out there and consistent with it, then I think whatever you want from it will come naturally, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
Okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah. I think it wasn't until after I started to realize that I didn't have to do so much. It's, I enjoyed it even more than when I first started. And I think I've produced better work since as well.
Definitely, because you don't feel the pressure, do you? That's the thing.
Yeah, it's just like a carefree sort of feeling now. Whereas before, like I said, it was, I have to do this and I have to do this photo for this game and this post, and it's not like that anymore. I just, like you say, like, I don't really use hashtags at all anymore. I use a couple in the second part of a tweet every now and then, but for the most part, there's no themes and no hashtags on my posts.
And I think that's the thing. I think the hashtags. I mean, I don't know about you personally, but I don't really search for hashtags to see what people are posting for them. I think a lot of the hashtags, whether it's community pages, studios, and that kind of thing, it's a kind of tool for them to be able to search for your stuff. But I think a lot of the devs and studios nowadays. I mean, I've had likes from devs and studios where I haven't even put a hashtag on it. And that's
Exactly.
not
Yeah.
because my work is mind blowing. It's because I think they're also catching on the the hashtag trend is. Sorry, my wife just slammed the door of the kitchen then. The hashtag trend is kind of phasing a little bit, and I think people are changing how they work on social media. So yeah, again, I think it's do what you're happy with. Do what you want to do. You don't have to drop them because everybody else is. You don't have to use them because
Yeah.
everybody else is. But I think just like I said, be your own person. I think.
Yeah,
Do what you want.
absolutely. I like how you mentioned that about searching for hashtags too, because that's the only really way that they're useful. And if you've got, Gorilla, for example, for Forbidden West, they'll have Beyond the Horizon. That's their hashtag that they search for. But then you'll see, 12 other Horizon Forbidden West related tags, but they're almost of no use if that's not if your aim is to get Gorilla's attention. You only need that one hashtag, so you can use that space to describe your photo or explain what you've done or things like that.
Exactly, and I think they've done the same with Jedi Survivor, didn't they? Is EA Star Wars done a specific one for was it SWJS photo mode, and the same with
Yeah,
Assassin's Creed. They do as well, don't they? With AC photo mode. Is
yeah,
it
and like Gotham Knights had the GK photo mode that was very specific.
exactly? I think those ones are the ones which will be more useful to people. I
Yeah,
think there's a lot out there, like you said, which I don't think will impact reach. I may be wrong. I'm not a social media expert, but I think I don't
yeah.
think
Well,
we
when
need
I
to.
first started, every single available character on my post was used for a hashtag, and if I had 5 characters left, I would get rid of something else so I could fit in another hashtag that would use every single last character. And it just got to the point where I think it may have been on one of the earlier episodes of Photo Mode Unplugged, and Mick and Ruben were talking about hashtags. I thought, well, I'll try not using any hashtags, and reach seemed to expand like from that very next post.
Yeah, definitely. No, notice an uptake. I think the algorithm's always up and down in bits and pieces, but I think I
Yeah,
found the same as you, mate. And for those of you who haven't listened to Photo Mode Unplugged, go check it out on YouTube and Twitter.
yeah, you're only about 26 or 27 episodes behind, so you get to it.
Yeah, I mean those boys have been kicking out episodes, haven't they? I think it's every Saturday
Yeah,
they do an episode. But again,
yeah,
if we're talking about learning from your peers and bits and pieces, there's always some really good hints and tips from Ruben and Mick on there.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
okay, mate, that's our TPM question. So I will just throw it out to the live audience. Don't let us down. Somebody give us a question. Koala, you're in the same
Yeah,
country. You're up nice and early, man. You've got to come
I
in
was
and give
looking
us
at
a
him.
question. He's gonna keep us hanging now and probably not ask a question. If you want to ask a question, pop in a speak request. Let me just check if anybody's chucked one in. Oh, I think it's too early for everyone, man. I think they're all
Yeah,
still half asleep.
it's 8 p.m. here. Koala's it's not early over here. Come on, man. Oh, he's already asked one though, hasn't he? He's already got one question here. Did I
Yeah.
did I did I, did I answer his question? Like my favourite 3 photo mode
Yeah.
games?
We'll let him off. We won't give him too much of a hard time. We'll let him off. Thanks for that question, buddy. But Troy, man, it's been really good to speak to you, mate. Really interested to find out a bit more about you. And yes, let's definitely get together to do something. I can't remember what we were saying now. We were trying to get a project together, weren't we?
Sounds good, mate.
We'll have a chat. But yeah, no, it's been really good to speak to you, man.
Yep, you too, mate. I just want to say to yourself and your entire team, this whole interview setup, it's a brilliant idea, and hopefully we can continue to do it, indefinitely. Just get
Yeah, so
everybody in on it.
thanks, buddy. It's really nice to hear that. I think we've got a full first season. There's more to come. We won't give
Yeah.
away too many surprises. We are also working on a spin-off
Yes.
called
Okay. Yeah.
Ask the Dev, where we have the same format, but speak to the actual game developers who make the games, get to know a bit more about them, their roles, what goes into building these games. So we've got a
Yeah.
few
That sounds
fingers and
amazing, man.
pies. So yeah, no, thanks for that, man. It's really nice to hear. As I said, we just want to get people talking. Let's talk to the people that we type to every day. And no, it's really good to hear that, man. But yeah, thanks for your time, mate. You enjoy your evening. Go and have a kangaroo steak burrito. And
I wish.
I'll catch you on the flip side, man.
All right. Cheers, buddy. Appreciate it.
Take it easy. Bye.
See ya.